Well, guys, it's 2026. Somebody would have told you that I'd be talking about oil ever. I thought they were crazy. It's amazing that oil's on my mind these days. But let's get into it. All right. In the 1970s, fun fact, to stop people from hoarding fuel, many states implemented an odd even rationing system. If your license plate ended in an odd number, you were legally banned from buying gas on even numbered days of the month. I hope we don't go back to those days. So a lot of people are asking, why are oil prices reducing? It doesn't make sense. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. It seems like there should be shortages everywhere. Then what's happening? Why is it happening? Well, this past week I did a lot of research and was kind of looking into it. And this even make sense? Is there's fraud going on? And first, like you think that they have to be manipulating the markets, but I don't think so. I think it actually all makes sense if you look at the math. So I have a bad slide here. It actually extends beyond the actual film here, but here's a slide. And here's what we got. We've got 7.2 million barrels of extra oil coming out of South America. You have 9 million extra barrels coming out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. You have extra supply coming from the commercial producers' extra inventory. You have China cutting 6.5 million barrels per week. The GCC only lost 20 million barrels per week, but that's just through the Strait of Hormuz. They're now funneling those extra barrels down through the pipes, and that's probably about 4.5 million barrels per week. It could be up to 7, depending on who you ask. But if you actually add that up, there's actually somewhere between 7.2 and 9.7 extra barrels per week in inventory per week. Of course, the oil prices are going to reduce. We have more supply now than we did before the Strait was shut down. That just all makes sense. But this is not going to last. So, what's going to happen? Well, China is not going to stop importing forever. Duh. The SPR is going to hit its floor sometime in August. Some people are saying that it's going to hit its floor in July, but I think that's wrong. It's planned to reduce to, I think, 273 million barrels, if I'm not wrong. And that, if you do the math, it's somewhere around 5 to 6 weeks out, which puts us in August timeframe. Anyways, at the very least, end of July. And then Cushing, Oklahoma, where they supply some of the commercial, I think it's the commercial oil reserves, hits bottom this week or next week. So that's all going away. So after that's all settled, you're going to have about 15.5 million barrels per week coming out of the supply per week. Well, when that happens, what's going to happen? Well, basic supply demand says less supply, prices have to go up. Unless we somehow resolve everything and we figure out how to get boats through the Strait of Hormuz, yet the boats aren't even lined up to get through the Strait of Hormuz, which can't happen. Sorry, folks. We've got a problem and oil is going to go up. We're going to have shortages. The math is pretty straightforward here. There's only one way but up, I guess. Oh, man. Yeah. Anyways, so what happens next? Well, gas prices are going to go sky high. How high? In fact, there might be shortages and you can't get the gas when you're actually going to the pump. Who knows? But they're definitely rising. What does this mean for the AI boom? I'm sorry, but the AI boom's probably going to suffer quite a bit because data centers run on energy. And energy is going to cost a ton more. And I have a feeling the governments are going to say no to the data centers because people are going to be hurting like hell and people are going to need that energy for other things and people will riot the streets if they can't get heating oil for their house. And then the other thing is Trump himself actually said, "Hey, we're 4 weeks away from looking like Herbert Hoover." Basically, he was saying 4 weeks from what could be a couple weeks ago, what could be in the next Great Depression. I'm not necessarily predicting that. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that that doesn't happen, but it ain't looking so good. And whether Trump meant 4 weeks or not, and whether that is going to be the Great Depression, who knows? They're going to do everything they can to make sure uh, to extend the problem to another day because that's what they always do. Not saying that we're not going to have issues, but they're going to probably do what they do always and make it, tomorrow's problem as much as they can, especially before the elections in November. They want to win as many seats, so they're going to try to push any problem they have off to November in any way they can. And unfortunately, they're pretty good at pushing problems down the road, which is kind of sad because that means the problem gets bigger after November, but that's where we're at. So can we have stop this from happening? I don't think so. I think it's too late. Um, Even if the Strait of Hormuz opened tomorrow, which is not, well, technically it's open, but not. Memorandum of understanding, kind of sometimes it's open, but with Iran bombing people and whatnot, no, it's not really open. It's kind of open. It's a little open. If you own $1 billion ship and that ship makes you, I don't know how many millions of dollars, let's just call it 100 million, but maybe even it's 10 million, guaranteed $10 million a year, probably $100 million a year. And someone told you, hey, listen, you can make an extra $10 million by going through the Strait of Hormuz, or you can get your guaranteed $100 million by going wherever it's going now. Are you going to take the risk of that ship having a missile thrown at it and lose the $1 billion? Even if you have insurance, that's not worth your risk. Your risk, forget the insurance, because the insurance is just going to give you money back. You've got millions and millions of dollars tied up in that ship of recurring revenue that won't come back with insurance money. So no, you're not going to go back into the Strait until you know you're safe. So what am I doing? I think that is a very important question. What am I doing? Well, I don't know what you should be doing. You should probably be consulting your own prep plans, but this is what I'm going to do. This is not financial advice to you, but I think it's good advice. I am actually buying oil. It's cheap right now. I don't think it can get any cheaper. It's $70 a barrel. The U.S. can't really produce it much cheaper. If it goes any cheaper than that, the U.S. doesn't make much of a profit, which means it really can't get much cheaper than this. It probably will, actually. I take that back. I think it's going to get to 65, maybe even down to 62, but that's the bare bottom. You might as well start dollar cost averaging in now because for the folks that shorted this, God bless you. You guys did amazing. Start cashing in because you might get a little bit better deal, but why not cash in now? So anyways, I'm going to buy oil. I'm going to wait for that correction. And when that correction happens, I think the stock market's going to crash also. So when that goes up, I will eventually sell that. and then the stock market will correct. Hopefully it's perfect timing. It probably won't be. But at that point, the money printer will turn on. And if you haven't seen the Great Melt Up video by Clear Value Tax, go see it. When the melt up happens, you better be in assets, because if you're not in assets, the dollar is going to be worthless. Uh, Assets could mean gold, silver. Assets could mean stocks. Assets could mean, heck, real estate. It could mean a whole bunch of things. Just don't be in cash. You pick, diversify, obviously would be the best advice, but just do not. And if you want to just ride out the correction that's going to happen, and it could be like what you'd call a crash that's happening, ride it out, because that melt up is going to be bigger than the correction. I would not advise to take everything out, because that's just kind of crazy. But if you want to take a little out now, wait for a correction and buy back in, that is a risky proposition, because it's very hard to buy back in when things go down. But that is actually a lot of what I'm not completely doing that, but I have taken some out, and I do plan on putting it back in. I am taking a big risk, and it's probably not a good idea, but it's what I'm doing. I do have buy orders in. Yeah, we'll see. I hope I am not making a big mistake. I've done this before, and it's always been a mistake. It is what I'm doing now. I will be back in, and I will get part of that melt up gains. I know. I just hope I don't get in later where I don't get as many gains. But that's what I'm doing. So good luck. I hope you guys can make some money. And that's where I'm at. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make some comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I'll be checking them out and replying. And thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.